another scintillating edition of Cooking with Blondes. Today we have a neophyte in our kitchen. This is Caroline, who is relatively new at Shakers as a Shakerette here in lovely Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We had lunch today, and she's talking about her affinity for hotter foodstuffs. She really likes curries and, of course, seafood. So we're going to make some simple curry dishes here. So I've already begun here. What I like to do is I take our own little blend here and I toast it. So I've already gone ahead and toasted this portion. But, you know, this is so incredibly simple. We will have the ingredients here, but I've got black pepper, I've got white pepper, I've got cayenne here, I've got paprika, I've got turmeric, I've got granulated garlic, I've got onion powder on here, a little bit of thyme, a smattering of oregano as well. Cumin is so important in these dishes, and people have a tendency sometimes to overlook that. So we're nicely toasted here. You can see that we're getting a little bit darker complected than it was just here. And now we're going to add some fluid to it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the roasted red pepper juice. And you've seen us use this before. I really like the flavor. I like the balance that takes place with this. And instead of just using water, I think it adds so much. And I want to get that on the front side. So you're going to be doing this in a moment. Take some mango, Caroline. And I'd like to have about, I don't know, 4 ounces to start with, and just kind of gently get in there and move it around with that spoon little thing. Cool. So what I recommend is when people are stirring something, always use your other hand and hold on to this like this. You could use a whisk or a fork as well, but we're just going to move that around a little, get a kind of cohesive little mix. While she's doing that, I'm going to take this lovely coconut juice. There's a variety of different brands. It doesn't matter what you use. Most of these come out of the Philippines, and it's a great industry for them as well. So I'm just going to take this, shake it up, get everything in suspension here. And about the same 4 ounces is just going to go right in there and chug right along. You see little coconut parts. It's all good and yummy for you. Fiber is so important. Now this looks very rudimentary, and frankly it is, and if you just wanted to use garlic cloves, we often do in this as well. But I just want to have the simplest version possible. You can go to any market and get these very spices, or a commercial curry blend. I'm generally not a fan of that because they've been sitting on the shelf for a moment, and there's so much you can do by mixing your own little thing here. The other thing I like to do, Caroline, is I like to tell people that if you do these little figure eights, you get a little better motion. Let's swap utensils for a moment. You know, get kind of this there. It's all about surface tension. That's you. And while Caroline is doing that, I'm going to start off with some calamari on this. So first we're going to take some of this on here. I'm going to put it into this pan next to it. And we have a couple options to do that. But just like our waiter today, at the restaurant we're at, he just did that. So we can do that too, right?
Right.
So this is just going to sit there. I'll come back and clean it up in a moment. And all we're doing, of course, is deduction. That's all we've ever used at Shakers for 37 years. Crazy. So about 200 degrees right now, and we're just going to get that up to temperature. Here's the fun part for you, Caroline. Women and knives. So as a newbie here, we always tell people, like, get this little cloth thing going here, because you want to keep your fingertips attached. If you cook like this, you're going to hurt yourself. So it's a European chef's knife. You follow the blade through, right? Just like that. And I got nice and thin. We're about maybe 3/16 of an inch. And 1 or 2 more. Easy peasy, right?
Easy peasy lemon squeeze.
There you go. Well, we're going to be squeezing limes, oddly enough, in a moment. Not lemon, but so I already pre-rinsed this. The thing about leek is that you have to rinse it to get the salt off of here, or the sand that grows in. And this is just going to go right up on top right there. And I'm going to hit this with some oil. Now, people really think about, people really think about curries being from the Pacific region. And the reality is that they really began with the Portuguese. As the Portuguese circumnavigated the world, they stopped off in different places, like the Goa district, obviously, in India, but before that, they're in Angola, in Africa, and they bring things and take things and impart different flavors as they move around. So one of those things is the development of all the chili peppers that went into the curry. So I don't want to burn this, a little bit high, and while this is working away, let's take some of those aforementioned limes. You can use a lime squeezy thing, and we always talk about the fact that the fruit that you use to cook with doesn't have to be luxe looking. It's not for cocktail. This is not the presentation, right? But if you take it like this and roll it first, roly.
Rolly.
So that frees up the tissues and gives you more juice. That's good. So just a simple cut through, and take a pair of tongs. I mean, we could use our little press as well, but just like this, and push and squeeze. And at the same time you do that, kind of rotate. So this is our little mother right here we got going on. Just add a little more of our mango to that. And again, it doesn't matter what the brand is. Mango nectar, mango puree, they're all phenomenally versatile. Coolio. Let's get one more in there and these two in here. Now, when people think about curries, they also think about Thai. And there's all sorts of things, Cambodian, Thai, Laotian, that are marvelous chili paste. So this has to go in here as well. So you might have guessed at this point we're doing kind of a hybrid. And make that hybrid into a homogeneous kind of mix, but we're taking different components from different cultures and making that into our curry. Having fun so far?
Yes.
Squeeze, push, rotate, it's all good, right? Now, since curry really is a multicultural dish, I want to take some of these lovely serrano chili peppers. Serranos are a little smaller than jalapenos, yet have a little more flavor and also a little more heat to them. And perfect. So Caroline, the same kind of thing I like to use, just like one finger there is lead off on that. And if you turn towards the camera, you can just kind of do that, but front to tip to back, just like that. Okay? So those two, please. While Caroline is expertly doing that, I'm going to take a simple Roma tomato, could be any kind of tomato. In fact, in a moment we're going to get some grapes in here as well, and just from the top down, it's always going to have sharp blades. And you see so many cooking shows where people are struggling with their knives because they don't have sharp blades. And it's a fundamental in the kitchen. You want to have a tool that's at its best, and that means you have to sharpen it. And for all these TV cooks now that don't sharpen their blades, they're going to get hurt. And I'm going to be off the air for a while. You can put it back on, minus something. So I'm just going to take the Roma and toss it right in there as well. So if you want more, you can put more in. There's no set recipe on this. Then I'm going to take a banana chili pepper. Again, we're doing different cultures, right? And what you can do, Caroline, is to take our bench knife. So to get all that cut down, take your bench knife and just kind of swoop this up. So I like using a bench knife as opposed to a chef's knife because you can dull the chef's knife by going against our board here. So you got this beautiful bench. It's a hard rock maple. It's 120 years old. It's right on top. Perfect. And then if you want to do that, or take with that. And then these little finger chilies. You can use bird chilies if you want Thai. You can do a variety of things. It doesn't matter, but we want to have a really flavorful, spicy dish because that's what you want, a spicy dish, right?
Right.
There you go.
It's the spice for me.
So we're setting the tone here. We're building up this lovely little admixture, and that can go in there as well. A little shaky. And I think at this point I want to add a little bit more of the coconut to it. So if you grab the coconut juice right there, and we'll get another 4 ounces or so, get it heat up here. Now we're going to take some calamari. So you'll notice that over here I keep my calamari and our seafood. There's some mussels as well. And shrimp, I'm keeping everything on ice. I want it to be incredibly cold and fresh. And that's something else you see with a lot of cooking programs is that they'll be cooking something and they'll just have their seafood just sitting and sitting and sitting and take after take after take. And I think that's gross mistreatment. And it's also from a sanitation standpoint, it's not very healthy. So you do one, I'll do one. And the way we're going to do this is, if you want to use a smaller piece, you can. I like the circle concept. So just give us some circles. So these calamari are from the Pacific, and they have the effect of the Humboldt Current that comes up from South America. It's very nutrient rich, and seafood grows incredibly quickly there to larger size than some other things that you might get from the Mediterranean or the Atlantic. And that's what these are from. So I just kind of make sure that we cut through and they're all separated. Nobody wants those little circles to stick together. So when my kids were young and we'd take them out for dinner or something, and they didn't want to eat seafood, of course, but they eat circles all the time, right? So that's what these are. So a different type of tomato. These are just basic grape tomatoes, and they're really sweet. And the sweetness is really going to come into play here in all sorts of ways. So I'm just going to chuck some of those in, but I'd like to take like 4 or 5 or 6 of these and cut them. So I want to see what you do to cut them though, because everybody has a different approach when they start out. What does that mean? Well, let's find out.
This way?
Excellent. Go for it. So we have found that this, unofficially, that most of the women who come and cook with me here will cut them top to bottom lengthwise. Most guys do that, and they cut them the opposite direction, as circles this way. Don't know what it means, just one of those things. All right, that goes in here as well. Get ourselves way much more hotter. Yeah, this is just going to cook for a while. This does not take long if you're at speed. I mean, literally, this is going to cook in 4 minutes, 5 minutes. That's what it is. So really a flash in the pan kind of a concept, right? So while this is working right here, if we could have another larger pan from the back of the house somewhere. Oh, thank you. We are now going to take this and dilute this again. Again, you don't have to have precise measurements. So this one is going to be for the mussels. So the mussels we generally do in house, it's more of a European style where we steam them up, right? This will be just a little bit different because you want the flavor to really permeate and really get into this. So these mussels that we have are Atlantic mussels. These are from Prince Edward Island, which is as far north as you can go in the Atlantic, Nova Scotia actually. And you just want to make sure that they don't have any of this bearding on them. So sometimes they've got the little components of that. So if they've got a beard, you want to pull that right off of there. If they're open like that and you tap them and they close, you can use them. If they don't close, they're dead. You don't want that. So you will find when you're buying mussels that probably at least 10% are going to be dead. That's just the way it is. So, but when they're nice like this, close them slowly, give them a moment, see what happens. So if you were to go to the Netherlands, they just sell these by the bucket. Literally, they give you a bucket of these. And usually the fries as well, they're just remarkable. Somebody, you can do it, come on. Come on. Go. So after we get the ones that we want to use in here, we'll fill up the whole pan with these. And we'll take another pan, put it on top of here, and that'll act as a lid. And the lid will help it to kind of steam around itself. So this guy closed up. This is also good because you get little shards of shell sometimes. You want to make sure that that doesn't go in there because I've seen so many people get cut up by eating mussels, especially in Europe, that have not been thoroughly cleaned. And you get those little shards stuck in your uvula. That is one painful experience.
This one's so close.
So close.
Ooh, this one's good.
Yay! All right, so if we have another pan, we'll put it on top of the lid. Little shaky, shaky, shaky first. So I can do the shaky, shaky. And the same thing over here. We have this beautiful calamari that's working away. And what I would do is I would typically have either potatoes with this. You say potatoes, say, well, yeah, cultures really get into this. So potatoes work on this, especially in Southeast Asia. Otherwise, rice is prevalent everywhere in the world. And if I were to do rice, I'd probably do jasmine rice with this. So this is going to be done in just a moment as well. We can really expedite this and have a slightly smaller lid than the other one. That can kind of fit just like that. Cool? All right, so we're going to be back here in just a moment for the finished product. In the meantime, everything we try to do is instill upon you that you can go to any market. You don't have to have a set recipe for these things. You just kind of follow your own lead on what you decide you want to have for flavors. And if you want to have it spicier, more chili pepper, a little bit less spicy, a little less chili pepper, right? But I think that some of the things that you should think about all the time are using coconut milk, coconut juice, coconut anything is phenomenal in this. And then I also like to have things like the mango puree, passion fruit, guava juice, any of those things, because every culture, equatorial culture that has that beautiful produce, those fruits, also utilizes different spices and different chilies. And that's where this is really going to shine. So make sure we have our heat up enough on these that they're going to work. And we'll check back in about 5 minutes. Folks, don't go away. See you soon. Back, and we did find a little bit of rice that we're just going to toss on here as well. So it's important to kind of drain your rice just a little bit. At the same time, we just take it like this, push the water to one side. So we cheated on this. We had something that we already had online for just the normal day production of Shakers. And this is a long grain rice. We use this mostly for the Creole and Cajun things that we do. That's just going to be like that. And then what I'm going to want you to do is to bring this over here, give it a good stir like this. You're moving everything around. See the technique? You're turning gently. And then think of the context of how you want this presented. What I would do is I might put something like all the rings in a circle, and then I'd take a glop and put that right there centered, okay? Fantastic. So while Caroline is doing that, I'm just going to grab one of these lovely little Semanos right here, and I'm going to give us just a little top. It's going to be like a little crown that's going to go on top of this. And the other thing beautiful about this is that we have this vibrant green that's going to offset that kind of a yellowish kind of a curry look. And really think about curries. It's easy to think about moles as well, because in my mind, a mole is really a curry, but from a different part of the world. So we've got a whole series on that we did. We covered on the road to Oaxaca. We talked about these marvelous curries that we have, different moles in different places, different flavor compositions, how they come together. If I had a point on this, is that we live on this little rock, and there is such a crossover in all sorts of food styles and drinks, and whether you call something an arak or an ouzo or something else a mark, it doesn't matter. The things that all have a standard composition with a standard basis on things. And it's really good to embrace all these cultures, because there's that commonality, and that's how you really understand the world, the connectivity, and what you enjoy. How are we doing there?
Good. This one was going to be cuter.
No, it's cute. So I'm going to take a little bit of just the stock, if you will, the broth that's right here, and kind of get that in. So I want that to really get into the rice, right? Then we can take this and be not so careful about this, because we really accomplished what we wanted to. And what I'm going to do is take the plate to there. I don't mind so much that it floats around like that. I hope you don't. You can take our little reds and work those around the perimeter too. And then we'll come back with paper towel and clean ourselves out, okay? So presentation is so important, because you eat with your eyes, right? And it's just like physical attraction for somebody else, right? You see them first, and there's that cognition that takes place, and you see that before you get close to them, and you get their scent or anything else. And really so much of the magic is all through your eyes. I think that dish looks pretty good all by itself.
Me too. It's cute.
All right, so then a little bit of green pepper on top, just so people know it's got chili going on there. And if you would like to jump in there and taste that, I think that would be remarkable. And while you're doing that, here's the big movement. Look at this. Love those chilies. The happy dance too. All right, so you can do this, and literally, if you're doing this without the camera, without the setup, without the posing, you can have this nailed 10 minutes tops. And this will give your family a whole different appreciation for food that, you know, you're working all day, you come out and knock this thing out, they're gonna be, oh my gosh, how did you do that? So it's like many things, it's relatively simple once you take the chance and get into it. I'm gonna play one more thing here, and then we'll go break for the news camera that's here. So right over here, we got these beautiful mussels that have just been working away all by themselves, right? So how we would literally serve that here, you take a pie pan, right? And on this pie pan, we're just going to get it underneath, move around a little bit so you get all that flavor inside of each one of these guys. Then I'm just going to have you, Caroline, mound these up on this plate. So they're not all going to fit here, but think about maybe half of those or 40% on the serving. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Excellent, thank you. So it doesn't matter what type of mussels you use. These again are black mussels, the PEI, and they're cultured. So what they do is they grow these on ropes that are probably 10 or 15 feet top to bottom, and they have little seedlings and they attach. And probably this is about maybe a year and a half or 2 year process to get to the size. We also use something called Perna caniculus quite a bit. Perna what? Perna caniculus. Those are green-lipped mussels, and those are indigenous to New Zealand, and they're now done in Australia as well. But they are remarkable, and they have this beautiful flesh that's either going to be orange or creamy white, and it depends whether it's the male or the female of the species. So it's really cool. Well, this looks dynamic, Caroline. You did a great job with these. Now for the camera, why don't you taste? Why don't I get you a fork right over here, and have at it, big lady.
Yeah.
So my recommendation to go with these would be a white wine. I like something which is semi-dry. And that could be a Semillon, that could be any number of things. Sauvignon Blanc has a little more sweetness to it and more acid to it, but I think that'll be just perfect with that. Anyway, here we are, cooking with blondes here in the Shaker's Kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this, and we have one more series that we'll do in a few minutes with Caroline, and I think we'll bring her back again. So, hope you enjoy this portion. Be good to yourselves, cook for the people that you care about and that you love, and or your family, and make it a wonderful experience for everybody. Thank you so much. Cheers.